Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Lauren from Guthrie and Ganny, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the recording of the live question and answer session that I did over on the Instagram platform on Monday the 22nd of May 2023. So I will be answering questions that have been sent in beforehand, those of you looking for advice on your dressmaking and sewing projects, and then also looking for some pattern and fabric recommendations and combinations. So I've got loads of lovely fabrics out from around my shop, lots of new things to show you as well this week, so I hope you get lots of inspiration for your next make. I will be talking about what top I am wearing during the live as well, but I'll just cover that here because I quite often get a lot of questions about it, so I thought I'd just cover it at the start as well. It's from the new Fibre Mood magazine. It's the issue 23, so it's in this magazine, but you can also get the pattern as a PDF directly from the Fibre Mood website. It's the Quilla pattern. So yeah, it's just like a little sort of sleeveless top. This is it here in the Fibre Mood magazine. A little sleeveless top, and then it's got these cute sort of gathered sections at the side with some elastic, and I made it out of the viscose linen yarn dyed checked fabric, which we do also have in a navy as well. Anyway, I'm going to switch over onto the live recording now. You'll see me answering any questions that come in live and any comments as well, just so you've got a bit of context about what I'm talking about. And if you are watching here on YouTube and you'd like me to answer a question in a subsequent video, then do just leave a comment below, or you can email or call the shop as well. You can always get in touch with the team and I that way as well. I'll put the contact details in the description to the video. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you very soon. It's lovely to see you all. Thanks for joining everyone. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you've had a nice weekend. And maybe been enjoying some nice weather. If you're here in the UK, it's been quite nice and sunny. So yeah, it's lovely to see you all, and I'm going to be answering your questions that you've sent in tonight. I don't have loads, but I've got quite a few, which I think some of you will find useful. Lots of people looking for tips and things, and I do have a fair few new fabrics to show you as well. Most of them are plains, but it's always useful to have plains. Especially if you like prints and colours, then you kind of need something to go with them sometimes, so yeah. And I'm also wearing a new top as well, which some of you might have heard me chat about that I was going to make. It's from the new Fibre Mood magazine. It's from issue 23, and it's the Quilla top, which is this one here. It's this one. And yeah, so it's sleeveless and it's got facings on the armholes, and then underneath here this is like a sort of separate section that you sew in, and then it's got a channel for elastic at the side. So I just made the top to my measurements. I think if I was making it again, I might take a little bit out the neckline. I feel like it's sort of slightly baggy there. And then the other thing that I did, I just made it totally up by the pattern, and put in the elastic that it said to put in for my size, but it was like really quite loose, which I think it's designed to be like that, because when I look at the pictures, I feel like actually maybe it doesn't. It does maybe look a little bit tighter on them. I don't know. I made it just for my size, and it was like really quite, like this was kind of sticking out, and I felt like it was fine, but I just wanted it to be sitting a little bit tighter. So then I wish I'd checked it before I overlocked it. It's classic, isn't it? So then I tried it on, I was like, I think it's a bit big. So then I just unpicked a little bit so I could pull some of the elastic out. So I actually ended up taking 2 inches, so like 5 centimeters of elastic out for what it said to do for my size, which obviously just makes this little section here like more gathered, but I think it's fine. I like it. So yeah, it's the yarn dyed rose linen viscose check fabric, which we do have in a navy as well. We do have some of this left at the moment. The roll wasn't looking huge though, but we do have more on order, so if you wanted like the exact one, and we've sold out, then it is coming back in stock again. So yeah, I thought I'd share that anyway, because usually people are asking me what I'm wearing. Okay, so the other new things that I wanted to show you is a new sort of base cloth that we've had in, which I feel like has a sort of similar texture to a rami fabric, if you've seen that or used that before, but it is actually cotton. So it's textured cotton fabric. It's 100% cotton, but it's definitely you know, got a sort of like slabbed, or it's not, you know, it's not like smooth or flat. It's got a lot of texture to it, which I think is really nice for a plain when it's not totally flat, because I feel like having the texture just gives it something a little bit, gives it a bit more depth for a plain colour. And it's lighter weight than the ramie as well, so it would be more suitable for like a shirt or like a nice dress. I feel like the ramie's more like dungaree, trousery sort of weight, or like a lightweight jacket for the ramie, because it is quite heavy, whereas this will give you that same sort of like natural kind of feel and texture, but it is lighter weight. So we've got it, I think we've got it in 4 colours. I'm just checking that I had all the colours out. I'll try and sort of hold them all up all together so you can see them all at once. Oh, that's all the colours that we've got at the moment. So quite sort of like nice, bright, kind of summery sort of colours in that. But it does come in lots of other colourways as well, so if it's popular it might be that we get some other ones. Okay, somebody's asking, do you buy Fibre Mood patterns as a magazine? So you can, so you can buy, you know, you can buy the magazine and it has all of the patterns in it, but they don't have seam allowance in the magazine, so then you have to trace them off. And it's always like a bit of a mission because they're all sort of overlapped on each other. You have to trace it off and then add your seam allowance on when you buy it from the magazine. But if you buy the PDF, the single PDF directly from the Fibre Mood website, per pattern, it works out more expensive. Like, it's cheaper to get the magazine because you get all of the patterns in it. But if you buy the PDF directly from the Fibre Mood website, then it means that you get the files and you can print it off, and it includes the seam allowance. So that's what I did. So, you know, then you can make use of our pattern printing service. You can print it A0 for you. You can just send us the version of the file that has the seam allowance on it already. So yeah, there's a few ways that you can get the Fibre Mood magazine. Could you make shorts with that, the textured one? Yeah, I think you could. I probably wouldn't make anything that's too sort of like tight fitted though, because it is like a little bit thinner. But yeah, if they were sort of like looser shorts, if they're more kind of fitted shorts, I would say probably the ramie or the linen. The enzyme linen is better. Okay, then we do have some new colours of double gauze as well, which there's definitely like a very sort of summer pop bright vibe going on here with these colour palettes. These are all of the new plain double gauze fabrics that we've got. So hopefully you can see them all there. That'll be quicker to show you them all together rather than one at a time, but then I'll take one out just to show you. So yeah, it's just like a classic plain double gauze base, nice and textured. Remember, double gauze is just those 2 really fine layers of loosely woven cotton that are invisibly stitched together. It's a really nice fabric to wear in the summertime. And if you're not sure about gauze, or you're kind of wanting just to find out more about it, I do have a blog post that's all about double gauze, sewing with it, working with it, washing it, ironing it, and then lots of ideas of things to make with it as well. So if you just search double gauze on the website, you'll find the blog post that's on it, and it's got a video link in there as well. So that is the double gauze, and then we've also got some more new yarn dyed linens. So these are 100% linen and yarn dyed in the threads that go on the warp and weft are different colours, so it's kind of like they have a sort of 2-tone appearance. So we did have some yarn dyed linens before, but where we get that, we can't get those particular ones again, unfortunately. So these are new colours from a different place that we should be able to like continue to get. So that was just to sort of replace them. We do still have a few colours of the older ones, but yeah, some nice sort of muted natural tones in that one there. There's a peppermint, that's the top one. Then there's a khaki, which is the middle one, and then the bottom one, for some reason I can't find the tag on it, unfortunately, but it looks like it's kind of like an ecru colour to me. So yeah, those are the yarn dyeds there. Somebody's saying, I see a saguaro set in the lilac. Yeah, that would be really nice. I've seen quite a few versions on Instagram of the saguaro set in gauze, and they all look lovely. Yeah, okay, and then the other thing, which they actually weigh a ton, so I'm not going to be able to lift them over, but they're all of these fabrics here. I don't know if can you see that? They are some replen, and then also some new colours of the smooth drape tencel fabric, which I recommend quite a lot. It's such a beautiful fabric. These literally have just come in, so some of the colours won't be online yet, but they'll be on tomorrow. So it's 100% tencel, it's a twill weave, so when you look closely it's got that lovely diagonal texture. Very floppy, very drapey, but as you can see they're not see-through at all. They've got a really good weight to them, and they are perfect for trousers. You could make jumpsuits with them, the Zadie. I've made the Soho 7 Burnside bibs in this type of fabric before as well, so they're just a really lovely versatile one. Of course you can definitely make dresses and, you know, and tops with it as well. A nice skirt would be lovely too. They're really nice, really smooth. So we've got some more classic colours, a black, a couple of darker navies, and then this really lovely sort of grape purpley colour, a nice kind of berry colour, which is beautiful. And then also a white one as well for the summertime. This colour's gorgeous, I love it, it's very, very rich. I think it might be called cherry, is that what they call it? Yes, it's cherry. It's a beautiful shade, really, really nice there. So yeah, they're not on, the other ones that I did show you are online, but the tencels will be online tomorrow. Okay, your top is lovely. Do you think this style would suit a slightly larger chest? I'm not sure. I think just because I don't know, I feel like what suits people is like a very subjective thing, and so some people with a very full bust might think it does, and some people might think it's not. I mean, I can sort of show you what it's like on me. It is quite loose, like here it's very sort of loose, so yeah, I guess you could just sort of maybe bear that in mind, compare it to other things that you've tried. If they are woven sand suitable for quilting, you could donate to Project Linus. Oh, somebody's asking, any idea where I can sell or donate fabric? If they are woven and suitable for quilting, you could donate them to Project Linus. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm making the Soho 7 toaster too in snuggly sweatshirting. The inside of the neck facing is curling up quite a bit. Is it supposed to? That's very common. I've made loads of versions of that Soho 7 toaster, and most of mine probably don't sit totally flat, and I don't think you can tell. It tends not to really bother me that much. It's nothing you've done wrong. It's fine. Does the tencel twill crease much? I mean, it will crease a bit. It's a semi-synthetic fibre technically, but I would class it more as a natural fibre. You know, it's not polyester. Polyester won't crease, so it will crease more than that. You know, maybe not as much as like a linen. But yeah, just adds to the character of it. What is the shirt pattern? The one I'm wearing is the Fibre Mood Quilla. How drapey is the tencel twill? I love the cherry colour. It's really drapey, really drapey. Tencel always is. I'll hold up a larger section so that you can see it. It's very dense fabric, which is why I'm struggling to lift this boat up. There you go. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how drapey it is. When you move it side to side, you can see it sort of swishes around a lot. So fuller leg trousers would be lovely in that, because they'd really move around and swish lovely. Okay, so I think that was all of the new things that I wanted to show you. And then I also just wanted to let you know, because it was quite popular before, that we had some of the embroidered sunflower fabric back in stock again. So this is the white sunflower embroidered border cotton fabric, and it's £21.90 a metre. This is it here, and it's got a beautiful border at the edge as well, which you could sort of incorporate into your garment. I just take a little bit out so you can sort of see it in a bit more detail. Here it is here, you see the sunflowers on it, it's really nice. Actually, I think this would look nice in this top as well. But yeah, it's just a lovely, nice, lightweight cotton with quite dense embroidery, but really nice sort of, yeah, sunflowery pattern on it. So that one is back in stock again. So yeah. All right, so on to the questions that have been sent in beforehand. The first one is, the first two I have to apologise for, because they were actually my list for last week and I forgot to answer them. I don't know what happened. So apologies for that if you've been waiting a few weeks for an answer to these next two questions. If I applique a design onto a jersey top, should it also be made of jersey? So I haven't actually ever appliqued anything onto jersey myself before, but I have bought quite a lot of things for my kids that have got applique jersey things on them. And I would say most of the time it is also jersey what's appliqued on. But I would say it would depend on the size of it really. And if it was like a little bit that you were appliquing on and it wasn't a woven fabric, it's probably going to be fine. But if it was a larger section, then I would say it's probably better if it's jersey, just so that that stretches with the top as well. Because obviously if you put a larger section of woven on, it's going to affect the stretchiness of the garment in general. So I would say, you know, it just depends on the size of it really, and definitely use a stretch interfacing to sort of stabilize it, and it'll make it feel nice and soft on the inside as well. I find quite often that things that I buy that have got applique stuff on them, they usually, once it's been appliqued on, it's almost like then they iron a bit of the stretch interfacing over the back of it, and I guess it's to smooth it out, it's to make it feel nice and smooth on the inside, so that, you know, the texture of the stitching isn't then against the skin, which I guess kids would maybe like be a little bit more sensitive to. So that would be my suggestion there. Okay, the next one was, please could you show the Atelier Brunette Dahlia gingham in the red double-sided gingham gauze. And yeah, I'm sorry I didn't show this last week. I'd even brought the fabrics out and everything, and then I don't know what happened. I just didn't show it, so apologies. But yeah, here they are side by side here. So this one's double-sided, but it's got a larger check and then a smaller check like this. So I would say that this size check is a little bit smaller than this one, but more similar. And then this one's reversible as well, but on the reverse of this one is an even smaller check. It's that size. So both double gauze, both reversible, but different size checks. This is very red. This is like Christmassy kind of red, bright red. Whereas this is almost like, when you look at them together, I feel it's almost like more purpley tones. You know, like a really bright sort of magenta pink that does, you know, it does have purpley tones when you sort of look at it against the red. So hopefully seeing them together helps you with whatever you were planning to do with them. Okay, somebody's asking anything in oranges, rusts, yellows, olives, olive green and teals. Yeah, we've got loads of fabrics in those colours. If there's a particular colour that you're looking for, if you go onto the fabric section of the website, you can filter by colours as well. So then you could just check what colours it is you want to see, and then it will show you everything that is in those sort of colour palettes. But I would say in the majority of cases, not all of them, because sometimes they're just not available, but a lot of the plains, for example, that we have, there usually is, you know, those all of those sort of colours. You know, represented in some form. But yeah, we tag colours onto all of the prints as well, so if there's certain colours you want, then that's the best way to sort of find them. Do you have bag making materials like straps, zippers and buckles? We do have quite a lot of webbing, yeah, so you could look at, you could search webbing on the website, and then you'll see all the different webbings that we have. I don't think we've got buckles, but we've got sliders and rectangular rings that go with the webbing, so that would be for like making the strap. And we do have some zippers. We've got more on the way that are ones that match the noodle head patterns that we stock. So yeah, we might have some in stock at the moment, because we have done some of them as kits before, but I can't remember off the top of my head what we've got available. Thanks for showing the ginghams. No problem. I'm sorry it was a week late. Okay, someone else is asking, what sewing machine do you use? Looking for a new one. I use the Brother Innovis VQ2. It's on loan to me from Brother, full disclosure. And I really like it. I've used it for probably about three or 4 years now, maybe. And then in the studio where we have the workshops, we have the Innovis 1300, which is also very good. So yeah. Okay, the next question was, some of you might have thoughts on this as well. What's better, self-cover plastic or metal buttons? I have used both. I wouldn't say I particularly find one easier than the other. I think they just kind of seem the same. I guess it might be personal preference. Maybe you don't want to use plastic stuff. I don't know. But in terms of how they function and how they are to like use, I can't really see any difference. So just maybe like personal preference on material. But if anybody has got any other wisdom on plastic versus metal cover buttons, please share. Okay, the next question is, I want to narrow my wide leg trousers, but they always look wrong. The best way to do it. So I would say it depends how much you're trying to narrow them by. And ideally you want to be doing it not just from one seam, like be doing it like a bit from the inside seam and the outside seam. I don't think you can go too crazy on it though, because the risk is that if you take it in too much, then it can affect like the grain line of the pattern effectively, or like how the fabric's hanging, or it can sort of pull that to the side a little bit, which is might be why it then seems like it's hanging a bit strangely. Say you made a toile, for example, or like a muslin, and you know, just some like plain fabric, you could draw the grain line onto the leg and then take it in, and then you'll see how that line is changing, because really like the sort of, you know, the grain line that goes up and down the leg on your trouser, you know, it should always be vertical. And the risk is that if you're taking in a really wide leg and you're taking it in too much, or it's not balanced how you're taking it in, then it's going to pull that grain line off to the side a little bit. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. It might be if you're trying to take in too much, maybe you have to just find a pattern that's for a trouser that's not got quite as wide a leg, maybe, to get the look that you're sort of going for. Okay, somebody's asking what's the lilac fabric behind you. This one here is the viscose linen lilac. It's a really nice shade. It's very bright for summer. Yes, it's lilac viscose linen. It's very versatile. You could use this for trousers as well, but also good for dresses and tops and blouses and everything. You see it's got quite a lot of drapes. It's got quite a high content of viscose. I think 75%. Yeah, 75 viscose, 25 linen. Yeah, caught your eye there in the background. Let me just put it back over, otherwise an avalanche starts to happen around me. Okay, the next question was stretch cotton sateen. Does the stretch mean it has good recovery and won't go baggy? In theory, yeah. You know, if it's got elastane or spandex in it or some sort of fibre, then you know it's going to sort of bounce back. But it can vary. I have had trousers that have got spandex in them and they do still sort of bag out a little bit. I think it just really kind of varies wildly, and I'm afraid I don't have any clear of all the not thousands, like hundreds, maybe tens of fabrics I've seen in that specific category over the years. I can't really find like a definitive way to tell that other than just using it. And some do just have better recovery than others. So yeah, I mean, usually when if things go baggy like a little bit, then but washing it will sort of make everything contract back again. And sometimes things just can, with age, they can just get baggier a lot quicker. My ginger jeans that I made out of the carnation needle cord that we've got, they're quite old now. I don't know, they might even be like 3 years old, and I've worn them so much, and I feel like they probably are starting to just be generally like a bit baggier than they used to. And I think it's just because over time, I don't know, I guess like the spandex or elastane or whatever just sort of wears out a little bit. It's not quite as stretchy. Okay, somebody's asking, would the Be Happy Blooms fabrics be suitable for the new True Bias Laura dress? Yeah, I think it would be. That's a really nice dress, isn't it? Yeah, I think they'd be perfect for that. Okay, the next one is tips on making the closet core elodie for 5'9" large bust. I've got spotty viscose ready. Spotty viscose sounds lovely. I would say if you just maybe check that if you know that you've got a fuller bust, check that you've got the size range that's going to fit into your body proportions the best, remembering that they have a B cup size range and a D cup size range. So it might just check that you're making sure that you've got the one that's going to fit the best. But they do also have, I can't remember whether it's in the instructions or if there's maybe a blog post on it, but I'm pretty sure there is instructions or like a tutorial on how to do a full bust adjustment as well on the elodie pattern. So you could check that out if you're finding that the difference between your high bust and your full bust is different to what the pattern that you have has been drafted for. But yeah, it's a really nice pattern to make. I love it. Seam forming tape interfacing is good for the wrap around to stop it stretching. The prim forming tape interfacing, I would suggest getting some of that as well. Okay, the next question sent in beforehand was any tips on sewing with linen. I would say make sure that you've got nice hot steamy iron if you're working with linen, because you need to make sure that you're pressing it well as you go along. I generally find it's like quite easy to work with. Sometimes linen can be a bit more loosely woven, so it can be prone to fraying a little bit more. So just make sure that, you know, if you've got an overlocker, obviously you can use that to finish off your seam allowances. If not, you could use an overcast stitch on your sewing machine if you've got an overcast foot as well. Just make sure you're finishing off your seam allowances to control that fraying. And yeah, I would say definitely pre-wash it, iron it really flat, totally flat, before you cut it out with a nice hot steamy iron. And it is very satisfying fabric to work with, so happy sewing. Okay, the next question was, when must I do an FBA, full bust adjustment, stretch, question mark, less than 2 inches ease for women? I'm a 34 high bust and a 38 full bust. So I do have a video and a blog post. It's in the sewing article section in the Sewing Society bit of the website, and it's all about dressmakers' cup sizes and working out what dressmakers' cup size you are, because it's different from your bra size despite them still being labelled the same with letters, which is very confusing, but there you go. So I would suggest maybe having a read of that, because it'll give you maybe like a little bit more in-depth answer as to working out what that is and when you do need to do one. I guess it's going to depend generally on how fitted the garment is. I would say if it's only got 2 inches of ease, you're going to need to do a full bust adjustment. And if your high bust is 34 inches and your full bust is 38, that's a difference of 4 inches. So typically, in most sewing patterns, that will mean that you're a dressmaker's D cup, D for dog. So if the pattern that you're working with offers a size range that is drafted for a D cup, then you can use that, and then obviously you won't need to do a full bust adjustment because it'll already be done for you. So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay, somebody's saying be careful if you need to unpick linen. Yeah, true. Do you know a good pattern for narrower summer trousers, preferably easy, quick sew? I'm not a big fan of wide leg trousers. The Merchant and Mills are nice. They're sort of a little bit more tapered. They're not totally fitted, but they're definitely more fitted than like the really wide leg ones. Last week I did a YouTube video and a blog as well that was all about sewing summer trousers, so you could have a little look at that as well, and it'll give you some fabric ideas and lots of different pattern ideas too. Somebody suggesting the Closet Core Pietras as well. Yeah, they're really nice, and they're definitely a little bit more fitted into the leg. Okay, the next question was, as a beginner to pattern adjusting, where do you recommend going for help? So I would say if you want just sort of to start dabbling in pattern adjusting a little bit, a really good way to do it is that if you look for a pattern that has pattern adaptation tutorials on the pattern company's website. So for example, I know that Helen's Closet, off the top of my head, I'm sure lots of others do it as well, Helen's Closet, Tilly and the Buttons, for example, quite often they will do various different blog posts for how to do different adaptations to specific patterns. And it can be a really good way to learn how to do an adaptation where the context of the example that's getting worked through is the thing that you're working on as well. Because otherwise, if you're just watching something else, then you're having to sort of apply the way it's been instructed onto your thing, which might be slightly different and then maybe like a little bit more confusing. So that's why I think if you're just starting it, it might be good to find a tutorial specifically for the pattern that you're working on. And I know there are lots of ones out there. I'm sure True Buys have them as well. You know, quite a few of these companies will have these free tutorials on their blogs that are specifically linked to their pattern. So yeah, I would say try and check that out. Somebody's saying, I love the double gauze. Do you need to strengthen shoulder seams with double gauze, or can you treat it as a woven? And just treat it as a woven. Yeah, I do have a video and a blog post that goes into a lot of more detail on working with double gauze and answers a lot of common questions that people have about it. But yeah, just treat it as a regular woven fabric. Okay, the next question is, would you be interested in doing a fabric masterclass at your shop? I just thought it'd be perfect as you have knowledge, example, all the weights and finishes, etc., and can help with choosing the right fabric for us too. As part of our complete beginners workshop, we do something similar to that for the people who are on the workshop, because quite often they have to pick a fabric for their dressmaking projects. So then we sort of get them into the shop and do like a little bit of a fabric talk with them. I'll certainly bear it in mind. I do have quite a lot of videos that are on specific types of fabric as well, which you can always look back on. It was a few years ago now, but still like obviously totally relevant. I did a few fabric focus videos and blog posts. So there's one on slippery fabrics, which is like viscose and rayons and that kind of thing. One on denim, one on jersey fabrics and sweatshirtings, one on different types of cotton. So they're you know, it's like a whole video just explaining all of them, the different weights and the different names that they get given as well. So that's a good place to look. But yeah, I'll certainly bear in mind the one at the shop. Okay, the next one was, do you have any tips or advice on making a denim skirt for spring or summer? A pattern or maybe a hack from an older pair of jeans? So a few patterns that you could look at that are like kind of classic denim skirt patterns, the Tilling the Buttons Ness, and then I found a nice style arc one as well, the Sally Jean, and then the Merchant and Mills, I forgot to check the name of this, but I think it's called the Clementine, is another denim skirt. But yeah, if you've got an old pair of jeans, it's like fairly easy to turn it into a skirt. And I'm sure there's like, I don't know one off the top of my, so you know, I haven't found a specific one, but I'm sure there will be ones, you know, videos on YouTube that sort of show you how to do it. But essentially all you need to do is cut open the inside leg seam, and then you keep your outer seams, I'll get my words out, outer leg seams, and then you can use a bit of the denim from the leg to almost like sew in the sort of patch bit, because obviously where the crotch is, you know, if you cut that open, there'll then be like a missing bit here, so then you can put a bit in from the leg into that little patch to sort of cover it out, and then it might be, then you can try it on, and it might be you sort of want to change the shape a little bit of the side seams. But yeah, if you've got an old pair of jeans that you still feel like fit you well at the waist and sort of over the hips, then it can be a nice way to sort of repurpose them or reuse them, is to turn them into a skirt. Somebody's saying, I turned some jeans into a skirt. I followed a tutorial I found online. It's very easy. Yeah, I mean, most of the work's done for you, right? If you use a pair of jeans you already have. Stitch Sisters do a jeans to skirt tutorial on YouTube. I thought there'd be ones out there. Yeah, so maybe that's worth a little look before you think about finding a pattern and fabric and all of that kind of thing, if you do have a pair of jeans that you want to repurpose. Okay, the next one was, you often say you've seen things made up in specific fabrics. How do you find images for particular fabrics, please? I was thinking about how the phrasing of how I might say this. I feel like probably I do say something like that quite a lot, because I'm generally on Instagram a lot, probably too much, and I see a lot of things that other people have made, and it's not that I necessarily go out specifically looking for them. I guess I just see them. But if you do want to know what certain things are kind of looking like made up, I would say it's, unless the fabric is linked to like a specific designer, like Atelier Brunette fabric, for example, it can be quite hard to find things that are made of a particular fabric, because it's the chances of somebody using hashtags that describe that fabric in the way that you're describing it and want to search for it probably quite small. So it's probably easier to search for the name of a pattern, and then you can see it made up in lots of different fabrics rather than the other way around, if that makes sense. But yeah, if it is like Atelier Brunette or Fabric Godmother or something, then, or Liberty fabric or whatever, then it's probably easier to search for the fabric then, and then you can see things made up in that fabric. You can also try just Google image as well, because then that quite often that'll show any photos that people put on blogs and stuff as well, so that can be another way to find fabrics that, stuff that people have made, and have a little look at that. Do you have a nice Bengaline fabric? I'm sorry, we don't have any Bengaline, I'm afraid. Okay, the next question was, how did you deal with the placket on the Fibre Mood Norma when you altered the bound and bound the neckline? I can't figure it out as the neckline and placket facing is to all intents and purposes is one piece. So what I did on, so this is, I brought it over because I thought it might be easier to sort of show you. I did change this sort of whole thing quite a bit when I did it. So the pattern comes with a V neckline and it's got a facing that goes all the way around. But instead what I did to make the button band was I effectively just cut the bodice out a bit wider and then folded it back, and that's what creates the button band. So there isn't a facing on that centre front edge, it's just an extension of the front bodice and then it's folded back on itself. So what I did was I bound the neckline, and then, to be honest, I kind of made it up as I was going along, and I was sort of following a similar method of construction that I'd done for the Liesl & Co Geneva blouse, which is finished off in this way. It also has a V neckline. So I don't have like a specific tutorial on how to do this because I literally just sort of tried to work it out as I was going along. But yeah, I did the binding first and then I did the button band by folding it back, and then when I top stitched it, my line of top stitching is like stitching the binding down and then it turns and then goes down the placket, so I sort of stitched that all in one. I hope that sort of helps, but yeah, basically I didn't use a facing was how I dealt with it. You can sort of see the binding just kind of goes into it there. Maybe better shows it better on this side. Yeah, I hope that helps. Okie doke. So the next question was, I want to make the safiya trousers. That's a really popular one that is from Tilly and the Buttons book. I think it's the Make It Simple book. Can you recommend something soft and that drapes well? So the tencel twills would be really nice, the ones that I was showing earlier, the smooth drape tencel twills that we've just had in lots of different colours. So yeah, that's got a lot of drape, a lot of movement. And then the other one that would be really good is the viscose linen that I was showing earlier, and this comes in lots of different colours as well. And this is very drapey and got lots of movement in it as well. For something, I guess, that's like a bit sort of brighter, if you wanted a print, you could definitely use a viscose fabric as well, like a viscose crepe or a viscose twill would be really nice for that as well. So lots of different options, but you could also just check out the summer trouser video and vlog that I did last week too, and that's got lots of extra tips and advice about making summer trousers. Okay, the next one was pattern and fabric suggestions for an Italian summer party. So I was thinking that the saguaro set would be really nice for that. You could either make it matching or you could do like trousers and then a top. So you could use any of the viscose linens for the bottoms, and then for the top you could, you know, choose something like really bright like this. This is very party vibes with the bright pink. It's one of the Fabric Godmother Viscose Crepes, so it's the Celine Viscose Crepe. Or this, I thought this one would be nice as well. It's really summery. You could do the saguaro top in that one. It's the Fabric Godmother Joni Floral Stripe, and it's a stunning fabric. Very lovely and summery and party-ish. So I think that would be nice. Or you could go for something like a little bit more kind of elegant and fancy. Maybe like the Deer & Doe Magnolia. They've got a few other dresses that are quite really nice, like long dress would be lovely. Fibre Mood also have lots of really nice dresses that are quite sort of striking too, so maybe you could check that out for some inspiration. The next one was fabric suggestions for a light parka and pattern, please. So I would, for a light parka, for the ones that came to mind were the Paper Theory Waver jacket and the Closet Core Kelly. I don't have any like water repellent fabric that's lightweight at the moment. It's just some of the Thelma quilted fabric that I've got left over. I wouldn't describe that as light really for a parka. But you could definitely use the the twill. I've made the Closet Core Kelly out of this before. This isn't a particularly summery colour, but yeah, it looks really nice in that. Obviously it's more summery than water repellent, but it does look nice. Okay, the next one was, do you have any 140cm wide fabric suitable for the tessuti Melbourne trench coat? So the ones that came to mind for this were the sanded twill. Again, none of them are water repellent, but I do think they would make a nice coat. This is the sanded twill, which is really nice, very nice and smart and crisp. We've got it in navy and a black, and we do usually have it in a stone, but I couldn't see the roll there, so I can't remember I don't know off the top of my head if we've got any of that in stock, but usually we can get it back in, so if we don't, then just let us know. And then also I thought the Bedford cord might be nice as well. It comes in a few different colourways as well. This is the olive, but it does come in a sort of like a kind of tanny, sort of orangey tanny colour as well, and a navy. And it's like a cord, but it doesn't have a nap like corduroy. It's a really nice fabric, a nice weight, and that I think that would make a really lovely jacket as well. Okay, the next one was, I bought a lovely tencel fabric in your shop. Any recommendations for a trouser pattern? So definitely the ones that I'd mentioned before. So the safiya, which is in the Telling the Buttons book, the saguaro trousers would also be nice for the tencel. The Meg Nielsen flints, the Emersons. So yeah, quite a few suggestions there. The Pietras, I have made the Closet Core Pietras in tencel twill as well. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. Okay, the next one was, can you recommend a dress pattern for the Fabric Godmother Iris Viscose Crepe? That is this one here. It's really beautiful. It's almost like a painting, this one. See if I can open it a little bit more to sort of show you. So it's a viscose crepe, so it's got that sort of crepey texture, but really lovely and lightweight and nice and bouncy. And it was a dress pattern you were after. So I think the Friday Pattern Company Davenport would be nice. The Denim Joe Magnolia as well that I mentioned before. And then again, there's let me start again. There are lots of really nice dress patterns on Fibre Mood. I really like all their patterns. I've made a few dresses before. I think it's the Marion dress and the Gladys dress. Both nice, both work well in viscose. That's what I used. And yeah, so over it have lots of nice dress patterns as well. So hopefully you've got a few ideas there. Okay, the next one was, do you have a fabric suitable to line a rayon? I want to make the Denim Doe Magnolia, but the viscose I have is a little see-through. So I do have a couple. Where have they gone? This one here. No, where's it gone? There's a few that sort of look the same, and there's like a big avalanche of fabric gonna happen here now. Sorry, I am still here. Oh, that one's gonna fall down to, I'm trying to avoid it hitting my lights. Jeez Louise. Okay, this one here is the cream viscose fabric. So it's it's drapey like viscose. It is a viscose like a rayon. Rayon is just sort of the same as viscose, it's just made in a slightly different way, but in terms of how it behaves it's the same. But you can see here it's really sort of floppy and kind of swishy, and it moves around, and I think, you know, it doesn't look particularly thin, but combined thick, or you know, you can still sort of see through it a little bit, but combined with another fabric I think it would work really well. So for anything that's sort of light, this is a really good one here. And then following on from that, somebody else was asking, you often talk about lining garments with cotton lawn or cotton voile. Please could you show these? Are they drapey at all? Are they suitable for garment making or just lining? And do they come in colours or just white? So I would say that I've got a couple of cotton voiles to show you. That was what was kind of falling down here. I've got a white and a cream, which look almost identical, but they're not. If I hold them together, maybe you'll sort of see the difference. Let me see what one's what now. This is the cream and this is the white. And it actually looks the other way around, the way the light's picking it up on the camera here, but in real life I would sort of agree with those descriptions. Obviously they are very similar. Generally, I would say that when it comes to things that are like cream, white, off-white, there can be like a huge variation amongst them. And one thing that is described as white, you compare it to another thing that's described as white, it might look different. There is a lot of variation within that little niche of different colours and shades. And if you're wanting something that is going to match exactly, I would suggest you get swatches, even if something's described as being the same, like white or off-white, because there can just be so many different variations, and quite often things have to be coloured to be like this, like they have to be bleached or they have to be dyed to be a specific shade, even though they're obviously a light colour. And then obviously there can be variations in how that gets done between batches, between different types of fabric, different base cloths, take it in a different way. So yeah, I would say generally if you're wanting to combine different things and you're very particular about the specific shade that you want it to be, it's best to get samples. But if you're using these kind of lining fabrics here, these are just voile fabrics, I would say they are too thin probably just to make a garment. Like if I hold a bit out, you can see how thin it is, like really you can see my hand through it, which is kind of, you know, you don't really want anything thicker than that for a lining, because a lining just sort of, you don't want it to add like too much body to something, especially if you're making like a summery thing. So I've lost my train of thought now. What was the rest of the questions there? I wouldn't say they're drapey. I wouldn't really describe any cotton as being drapey. Cotton it can be lightweight, and I would say it can, you know, it can be floaty, but I wouldn't say it drapes. For me, the adjective of draping is describing something that is very sort of floppy and fluid and kind of slippery and moves around a lot, and I wouldn't say that cotton's like that. It's more kind of like breezy and like, yeah, lightweight and floaty as opposed to drapey. But yeah, you know, I'll hold up a little bit here and you can see it. So if you have got something that's like a little bit transparent and you feel like you want to add something to it, it's best to try and get something that matches the same properties of that fabric. So if it is a viscose or a rayon, then it's better to get the viscose one. But then if it's a cotton or a linen, then it's better to get the cotton one, because that more closely matches the main fabric that you're using. So yeah, I hope that helps. I mean, if you were making something where it was like an eyelet fabric, you know, where it's got like the sunflower embroidered one that I was showing you earlier, you know, it's embroidered, so then it's got like little holes kind of cut out of it so you can see it. If you were lining a fabric like that, and the colour tone of your lining fabric didn't exactly match the outer one, I would probably say it doesn't really matter, unless, you know, yeah, I would probably say it doesn't really matter because you're not really going to see through it anyway. It's probably more if you're like combining the fabrics on the outer part of the garment and you want to make sure they're exactly the same shade of cream or white or off-white. Somebody's saying I lined with the cream viscose, really cool in the summer and no static cling. Yeah, that's the thing about lining things in the summer, is that you definitely want to use something that's going to be breathable. Otherwise you're just going to be sweaty. If you use like a, you know, like a, what are the acetate type linings, you know, the sort of more classic type linings that get used in coats and jackets and stuff, you wouldn't want to be lining like a summer dress in that, because it will be heavily sweaty. What lining would you use for Happy Bloom's cream for the magnolia? Well, Happy Bloom's is a viscose, so I would be using the viscose lining if you wanted to line that. But it might be that maybe you don't need to. We made the next dress in it and I didn't line any of them, and for me it's fine. But you know, some people might want to line it, but yeah, if you did want to line it, then definitely the cream viscose would be good for that. So I do hope that helps in terms of putting some context into lining things. We do just tend to have them in neutral colours like navy, black and cream, or like off-white, white. We don't really have any other colours, I'm afraid, but they obviously probably do exist somewhere. They tend to be the ones that we stock the most because they're more versatile across like various different colours of fabric. Usually you can always make use of one of them. So yeah, that was all the questions that were sent in beforehand. So if anybody does have any more questions for me, then please do let me know now. I'm just going to have a little flick through to see if I'd missed any other questions as I was chatting there. Any G&G Sewing Society clues. So yeah, one of them is something that you would use, and then the other one is something that you would wear with other things. And I'm trying to remember what clues I gave what clues I gave the other week. Forgot to write them down this week in case anybody asked me. One of them is the fabrics are really cool, and they were made especially for us. Like the batch, the company just make fabric like to order. They don't stock fabric, so when you get fabric from them, they sort of make that batch for you. So that was quite exciting because we got to sort of choose the one we wanted and then like pick the colours that we wanted like woven into it and stuff. So that was quite exciting. So I hope you like them when they come out. Very summery vibes. Somebody saying wilder gown. Yeah, that's a nice one for viscose. Sorry, late joining. I love your top. Which pattern is it? It's the Fibre Mood Quilla top. Please could you show the fabric Godmother Iris fabric together with the lilac viscose linen? I can, because they're both fairly close to me right now. So let me just get this one over first, because it's the heaviest one. Everything's just going to be falling down now. That's okay. You can't see it. Okay, right. So this is the lilac viscose linen, and then this is the fabric Godmother Iris. Is it? No, that's the cream cotton voile tag. Yeah. There we go. I think they look quite nice together. It's not quite the same purple, but I don't think it clashes. I would say it tones nicely. So yeah, that could work, like maybe a saguaro set where that's your trousers and that's your top. I think that would look nice. Nice outfit combo there. So next week I'm not going to be here because it's a half-term week here. So yeah, the childcare situation means that I can't be here. So it'll be a little week off, but I do have some fun videos coming up to show you. I'm hoping it's going to be this week, but I just need to try and shoehorn some time in to edit it. I'm going to make a video that is all about the different blouses and shirts that I have, because I wear quite a lot of shirts and blouses, as you probably know if you watch the Instagram lives quite a lot. And I've made like loads of different ones over the years, and a few like where I've used the same pattern but I've like made different versions as well, so it's quite a good way to see the same thing made up in different fabrics. So I was going to do a video that's all about all of them, so if you fancy making a shirt or a blouse, then there's lots of different inspiration things in there. And then yeah, I'll have a new fabrics video as well coming up at the end of the month too, because we've got some more new fabrics hopefully coming in later this week, so that should be fun to share with you. So that will be going out next week as well. So even though there's no Instagram live, there will still be other videos coming. Somebody's saying, have I missed you saying what the pattern is for the top you're wearing? It's lovely, thank you. Yeah, I spoke about it more in the beginning, but it's the Fibre Mood Quilla top. You see the little bit at the side, it's like an elastic channel, the little gathered section. Thank you. So yeah, I'll see you on here in a couple of weeks' time for Instagram Live again. And then this recording will be on YouTube as well. So hopefully I'll get that uploaded tomorrow, my internet speed depending. So you can always watch that back, and I'll put the timestamp chapters in of all the questions that were sent in beforehand as well, so that you can always jump to your question. But I do hope that you have a really lovely week, and yes, enjoy the sewing bee starting on Wednesday. How exciting. I actually know one of the well, I don't know her, but I've like met her before, like she's come to the shop before. One of the contestants. It's like really exciting when you know somebody who's in it, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. So yeah, we can always chat about that when I'm back again in a couple of weeks. But thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for all your thanks. Hope you have a good couple of weeks, and yeah, lots of inspiration indeed. I hope you're inspired. Wonderful, helpful sewing chat. That's good. Thanks, June. Yeah, so Have a good evening everyone, and I'll see you soon.